I am the Lonely Necron, and welcome to my basement. Today we'll be playing Game 3 of my League of Random. I pretty much just mixed up all of my factions and made new little warbands out of them. Each warband has one HQ, one troop, one elite, one fast attack, and one heavy support. And yeah, just kind of mixed up the factions and threw them all back together. And so this will be Game 3. So the first two games have already been super hilarious and interesting, so these ought to be equally good. I don't remember if these things are called poxwalkers or plague bearers, but they come in the Death Guard combat patrol box, and they're probably the most furthest along painting wise I have for these guys. So yeah, I keep on working on that. This is the board that we'll be playing on today. A nice little 4x4 square. I filled it up with scenery that's either mine or that I borrowed from Bleak. Yeah, so just random stuff thrown all about in a random way. Gonna do the first 4 games like on this board, so that everyone has like a fair play, no one has the advantage kind of thing, and then the last 3 games we'll just do a random board every time. Alright, so this will be our first group of contenders. HQ is a Necron Overlord with a Void Scythe and a Resurrection Orb. For troops, we have 10 Guardian Defenders with a little weapon support platform thingy. Fast attack, we have 5 Warp Talons. Elites, so I own Death Guard, but I don't actually have a codex for them yet. But in the 8th edition Chaos Space Marine Codex, these guys are listed as elites. So we got 5 Plague Marines. So the champion guy has like a plague sword and a plasma pistol. And there's bolt guns and something called a flail of corruption. This dude, this flail of corruption thing here. These guys are not going to be. I mean, they'll be fun to paint and they'll be fun in the end. But geez, it's annoying right now. So yeah, they're my elite choice for these guys. And then our heavy support is the Exalted Secret Chariot. Alright, so that's our first grouping. Alright, so here we have their opposition, led by a Farseer. So normally he would know different Psyker things, but since most Psyker powers are either faction specific or some weird way of phrasing a smite, he only knows smite. So he'll be our HQ. So for troop, we have 10 Zangors with chain swords and auto pistols. Elites, we have 5 Scarab Occult Terminators with a Hellfire Missile Rack, Soul Reaper Cannon, and the aspiring champion. Instead of normally knowing Doombolt like he would, he also only knows Smite. So fast attack, we have 3 Tomb Blades with Tesla Carbines and Shield Veins and Nebula Scopes. And then our heavy support is a mech gun that's a Bubble Chukka. So yeah, it should be a really good time. I'm gonna roll deployment, set these guys up, and then we're gonna have a good time. Okay, so the Overlord won the roll-up, so he chose this corner here. So we got the Secret Chariot precariously close to the edge there. Overlord slightly in front, with the Warp Talons, Guardian Defenders way in the front there. The Plague Marines on the other side. That'll put the Farseers grouping over there on that side. Okay, so we got the Farseer up on the 2nd floor of the building. Tomb Blades, Zangors, Terminators behind them with the mech gun behind the Terminators. Alright, so the Farseer failed to steal as well. So that puts it on the Overlord's turn. The Overlord and his team, I suppose. So movement. So everybody just advanced out of the corner. The Guardian Defenders made it into the Wall of Martyrs. There's really nothing else that can be done here. No psychers, nobody's within range for shooting. Definitely not within range for charging, so they're done, which will make it the Farseer team's turn. Movement. So everything except for the mech gun has advanced forward here. Not enough range for smite. The bubble chuck is actually in range, so I might have to measure for the tomb blades here. So we'll do some shooting. So the bubble chuck I failed to hit anything at all. So this front tomb blade was actually the only other thing in range of anything, and he managed to kill one of the Guardian Defenders. Nobody's still close enough to charge, so that'll make it back to the Overlord team's turn for movement. Alright, so the Guardian Defender is going to continue to just hang out in the trench there. The Overlord advanced forward. The Plague Marines advanced forward. I mean, let's face it, everybody advanced forward. Warp Talons got pretty far. This thing just went an obscene amount of distance. Craziness. No real need for a shooting phase because nobody's in range to shoot. Oh no, wait, that heavy support platform might be able to shoot. I gotta measure that. Alright, I thought the heavy weapons platform had a 3-foot range, but apparently it only has a 2-foot range. So given that knowledge, nobody's within range to shoot over here. Everybody advanced, and so nobody can charge. That's pretty much all they can do. Which will put it back over to the Farseer's turn. So these guys' movement phase, the Tomb Blades moved really, really close to these Plague Marines. The Scarab of Occult Terminators advanced pretty far up. These Zangars just moved up to get closer to these Warp Talons. The Farseer just kind of moved up, and the Mech Gun never moves. Still not in range to do a smite. Might be in range. Stupid measuring tape. Alright, so we actually get to have a psychic phase then, so the Farseer is going to try and smite these Warp Talons. It's down to 5. That's actually a 6. That's D3 damage. Does 3 damage, which is enough to kill one. Take this one away. Alright, so that'll make it their shooting phase. The Tomb Blades managed to kill off one of the Plague Marines. And the Mech Gun, way back there, did a little bit of damage to the Exalted Seeker Chariot here. The Zangars definitely shot at the Warp Talons, but they pretty much they failed to hit or they failed to wound for the most part, just nothing all around. But they are going to charge into the Warp Talons, so this should be exciting. Alright, so I have learned a valuable lesson here, and that is do not charge Zangars into Warp Talons. They made it. They did 1 point of damage to the Warp Talons. The Warp Talons turned around and killed 7 of the Zangars. That was super rough. Alright, so with that being said, I am morale. Man, I always forget about morale. Oh, crap. Well, that was my morale. Ugh. I rolled a 6, 7 died, that's 13. Toughness, or not toughness, leadership 7, so 6 round. 23 left, so these 3 guys run away. Alright. I always forget about morale because most of the time they either don't lose enough where it would matter or they lose the entire grouping. Either way, that'll make it the Overlord team's turn for movement. So the Guardian Defenders are going to continue to just hold the wall of martyrs. The Overlord has advanced around the trench, heading towards the Tomb Blades. Plague Marines are definitely heading towards the Tomb Blades. Over here, the Warp Talons and the Exalted Secret Chariot have all moved up. The Warp Talons just got way close to that Farseer. No Psychers, so the shooting phase. So the Plague Marines managed to kill off one of the Tomb Blades. And yeah, that was pretty much the only thing that happened. This heavy weapons platform with its shuriken cannon also tried to shoot the Tomb Blades, but it failed to wound. Charge phase. The Plague Marines are going to charge into the Tomb Blades. The Warp Talons are going to charge into the Farseer. And yeah, that should be it for charges. So both the Plague Marines and the Warp Talons made their charges. The Plague Marines managed to kill off another Tomb Blade, and their disgustingly resilient kicked in on the return attack. So the Warp Talons just absolutely destroyed the Farseer. Just killed him super crazy bad. Okay. I guess that'll make it the other team's turn since their leader is dead. So movement. Alright, so the Met Gun never moves. The Tomb Blade is going to stay in combat just to kind of keep the Plague Marines busy for at least another round, hopefully. And the Scarab Cult Terminators have just gotten a little bit closer to the Exalted Chariot here. I totally forgot that these guys actually do have a Psyker still left, so the Scarab Cult Champion dude try and cast Smite on the Exalted Secret Chariot. It's closest. Gets it with the 6. Does 1 damage. So that'll put us on the shooting phase. So yeah, these mixed up faction games are definitely producing some pretty amazing results. So the Scarab Cult Terminators and the Mech Gun, between the two of them, managed to kill off the Exalted Secret Chariot. I didn't see that coming. That was crazy. So charge phase, the Terminators are going to charge into the Warp Talons. Hopefully. And the Tomb Blade and the Plague Marines are still in combat over here. So apparently my Chaos dice does not like to fight against other Chaos. The Scarab Cult Terminators did indeed make it in. They killed off one of the Warp Talons. The Warp Talons killed off one of the Terminators. Over here, the Tomb Blade did nothing at all to the Plague Marines, and they just killed it. So yeah, that was crazy and awesome and crazy again. So that makes it the Overlord team's turn for movement. So the Warp Talons are going to stay in combat with the Terminators. And everybody else, including the Guardian Defenders, is currently advancing forward towards the Met Gun. So I guess no, he can't. Wrong team. I'm dumb. He can't do anything. No Psychers. So shooting phase. Nobody's actually in range to shoot. Oh no, these guys. The plasma pistol. I could have just skipped that shooting phase. There's almost no point to it. Nothing bad happened to anybody because they're in combat. Sigh. So yeah, nobody's. They're 12 inches away. That's really, really long. So we're just gonna deal with the fight phase, I guess, between the Warp Talons and the Terminators. So these guys just killed one of the other. The Thousand Suns killed the Warp Talon. The Warp Talon killed the Terminator. That'll make it the Warp Talon mech gun turn. Mech gun's not moving. These guys are staying in combat. So the shooting phase then for the mech gun. Alright, so the mech gun shot at the Plague Marines and they're disgustingly resilient. Came in handy yet again. No charges, but the Terminators are still fighting with these Warp Talons. And that was good for the Terminators that time. They didn't kill any Warp Talons and lost a couple of Terminators. That'll make it the Overlord team's turn. So movement. So the Warp Talons are going to stay in combat, and everybody else is just advancing forwards, trying to get back there to the mech gun. So, shooting phase? No. They're more than 12. They're more than 12. That's more than, yeah. It's not a shooting phase or a charge phase, but these guys probably killing off the Terminator for the fight phase. Yep, that was indeed a very dead Terminator. So that'll make it the Mechon's turn. It's not going to move. It doesn't have any psychic powers. It is going to shoot. Alright, so it did hit the target, but it failed to wound on the target, so that's its turn. So back to the Overlord's turn. I mean, this is really just a matter of time now. I mean, I'm going to play it out to the end because that's what I do, but it's just a matter of time. So, movement. Alright, so everybody over here is just hightailing it over there. The Warp Talons did not advance, but everybody else did. So the shooting phase. 3 of these Guardian Defenders were in range. So the 3 of them, the heavy support platform, and the Plague Marines managed to do 1 point of damage to the mech gun. So for charging, the Warp Talons are absolutely going to charge, and the Plague Marines are going to give it a shot. Alright, so charge phase. So the Warp Talons are going to charge into the mech gun. The Warp Talons made their charge and somehow miraculously did 6 points of damage to the mech gun, which was enough to kill it. So that means that the Overlord's team wins this game. That was... The Overlord didn't really do anything, but his team did a whole lot. This was a super interesting game. I mean, this is the 3rd out of probably 7. So yeah, these have all been interesting games. If you made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it, especially on such a thing like this where it's really almost nothing to do with 40k beyond like, I mean, it's everything to do with 40k, but it's not set up like in a faction normal way. So again, if you made it this far, I appreciate it because experiments are always going to be like the second major passion that I have with Warhammer. There's just so many possibilities at this point. So yeah, got one more game in this basic series, and then we'll start putting the winners against each other. I might have like a battle royale for all the losers out of this initial setup. I guess it just depends on how masochistic I feel that day. So yeah, thanks and have a good day.